are all there to witness that. A man termed an enigma, the man, the engineer, Tinga Agwambo, was a father, a brother, a grandfather, a political champion, a mentor, and a statesman. He wore so many hats, but now in his absence, what is the way forward? Tonight, we are exploring the process of grief, coping with grief. And I'm joined by none other than counseling psychologist Jane Ngatia to take us through that particular conversation. And later on, we're going to be introducing a man who, on social media platforms, has received criticism as well as accolades because of his artwork that has been used, to just immortalize the late Raila Odinga. That is Collins, who is a pencil painting digital artist and has been doing this over the years. Those are my guests this evening on Sunday Express, and you too can be part of this conversation. What next after Raila? Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. Thank you very much, Madam Ngatia, for coming in the studio today. Let's just begin with understanding, grief itself. When a public figure who has been a symbol of hope, defiance, and leadership, seemingly actually passes away, it affects people in profound ways. And even those who have not met him personally, because of what we have been doing, the 360 coverage of his life and times and what he has done, I want to unpack what this means psychologically. So we start off. How would you describe the psychological impact, of losing a public figure of Raila Odinga's stature?
Thank you, Regina. It's a sad time for Kenya, starting with the family of the late Prime Minister. Yes, grief has hit Kenya, and all of us can feel the effect because this is a person whom we could see was actually working. He was a national figure. I would even dare say he was a nationalist. And therefore we have all lost. When death occurs or happens to a person that we viewed as hope for many of us in this country, hope to deliver some kind of, liberation, whichever way we viewed it, definitely we feel the loss. And so there is the psychological impact. We feel very sad. We may not be able to separate the emotional and the psychological, sometimes even the physical, because how we mourn, how we grieve will be manifested in the behavior that we engage. So it's there is sadness, there is a sense of despair, there's a sense of hopelessness, sometimes confusion, and definitely upon receiving the news that the former Prime Minister has passed on, there is always the shock that hit everyone. How can it be? Can it be true? Is it real? Maybe no. So that is shock. And Kenya, generally Kenyans have gone through that already. Some of the people probably are still hanging on there. But with the burial that we have all witnessed this day, and thank you for the media houses, KBC Channel 1, for keeping us on air, for keeping us informed. Now we know that he's gone and he's buried, and we begin to talk about the late, and we begin to remember. But definitely it will take time for Kenyans, yes, all of us. We will remain sad, we will keep even feeling depressed, but it's good to wash out. Because if
actually,
already,
now that you've mentioned, feeling sad, and some might actually be looking at, depression. Is it some of these common emotional responses that people might be experiencing during this time?
Yes, there is definitely that emotional feeling, and there is some form of depression. We call it a grief-related depression. It is good that we are able to monitor where we are at any given time. We may also have realized that we feel angry about something we are not sure of. Why am I feeling angry? It is because this death came at a time when the least expected. Definitely, we never want death to come around.
Yes.
Our loved one, the people we know, nationalists, our leaders, and all that. So we feel angry. And sometimes we may even feel angry that, why now? Our Creator, why didn't you allow him a little more? So that anger will be manifested and we'll carry it around with us. But with time, because we need to do something about it, it will wear out slowly by slowly. And we need not act in anger. We need not say things out of that anger. So it's important that Kenyans, we learn to control those emotions. It's good to express them, but we must be able to control and to manage.
Now, there are those who still believe or are still in disbelief that they have lost a mentor, someone whose leadership skill resonated with them. There's some who say, I never thought, Raila or Baba would die. To them, he was to live forever. There are those who are still in denial.
Yes, that's a very important observation. I could have been one of them who said, I never imagined that we could have Kenya without Honorable Raila Odinga, the late. One way of getting unhooked from that kind of disbelief and shock and denial, because they come together. These are emotions that carry each other. And I like saying they are like cousins. Yeah. They will drag us along and they'll come and put us down at times. So it's good to begin to even change our language. That's something that some of us may find it difficult to do, but it is the right thing to do. We need to begin saying, he was a nationalist, not he is. Those simple words will make a very big difference, because right in our brains, because we are going back also to the psychological impact, the brain will record that. We are talking in the past tense. And every time there is loss through death, it's always good to train ourselves to use that kind of language and approach, that he meant so much to me. But it's also good to remember, keep on remembering the good things. Let's keep the memories that we choose to keep.
All right.
And especially the good memories. They help us now to live in the past.
All right. Now let's bring in our second guest. That is Collins Omondi Okello, who is joining us via Zoom all the way from Kisumu. He is based in Kisumu, but you must have come across his works during this particular period. It has been more than just a powerful pencil sketch of Raila Odinga with his fist raised, set against a bold orange hue, and that particular image is a work of Collins Omondi Okello, a Kisumu-based self-taught artist whose tribute has spread across the nation. Now, Collins, your artwork has become a national symbol during this period of mourning. What inspired you to create this particular portrait of Raila Odinga? To you, Collins.
First of all, thank you, Regina. And I also want to pass my condolences to family, friends, and supporters of the late Raila Odinga, who I believe is was a national icon, and I dare say international icon as well. It's such a huge loss, and it has dealt a blow, actually, personally, because it was actually quite an inspirational figure for me. What inspired me to make the artwork? I was, when I got the news of his demise, it hit me really hard, and so I went to the beach to just walk, and when I saw the sunset, the idea just came to my mind to have a portrait of him up top, and then have him with the fist raised, walking along the shores, moving towards the sunset. Now, the sunset means the end of an era, and also the portrait up top looking down at those he has left and telling them the struggle continues. Yes.
So you chose the sunset to, for the times and moments, and also that feast. He's been eulogized and said to have been someone who was very relentless, you know. And now you've said, we'd want to understand Collins amid
Yes.
all that. Was this a personal tribute? And if it was indeed a personal tribute, could you share the story behind it?
Yes, this was a personal tribute to the late Raila Odinga. I've done 3 artworks of him. Three of them, 4 artworks. 3 of them are hand drawn. And then this one, I did it digitally. This was a digital drawing of Raila Odinga.
Wow. All right. That is quite something. Now, when you first saw this particular digital works go viral,
Yeah.
at that moment,
Right.
as a creator, or rather as the creator of this particular works, what went through your mind?
It was quite shocked. I was quite shocked. I didn't expect it to go viral the way it has gone. It touched me personally when I was posting it. It was just a normal post that I normally, make on my social media pages. And then I saw people started sharing a lot and liking, and I got too many comments, and also, of course, I started getting calls and positive messages and emails. Yeah, it was quite shocking. Yeah.
All right. Now, talking about the emotions, Ngatia there, Collins, who's interacted with Raila in previous occasions there, was shocked when his piece of work actually went viral. The question is there a difference between, collective grief shared by millions and private and personal grief? Or grief is grief?
Oh, a good question there. I would like to respond this way. Grief, first of all, because it's an emotional experience, it's personal. So there is that which we have had one loss, like we have lost a nationalist. All Kenyans, and even the neighboring countries, I would say, could be feeling it.
All right.
But then at personal level, there is what I feel, there is how I express it, different from another person. Again, because we are all different. So our reactions and responses will be different.
Right.
So at the top, we have one common loss, but the interpretation will be different, and that is what you determine how I'm going to respond, how I'll react, how long it will take, because some of us will take a little longer, depending on the relationship, depending what it means to me, because grief has also to have a meaning.
Grief has to have a meaning.
Yes.
So some of the comments that we are getting on our social media platforms since the announcement of his demise, and now he's buried today, is that many Kenyans have described, feeling that they have lost a father figure or a hero. So what happens when people grieve a symbol, not just a person, in this particular context?
Yes, a good question there. The meaning that is attached to that person is what helps me to symbolize or to attach that particular image. Mm-hmm. And that is what I'll be mourning. The way I knew him, the way I interpreted what he did, even being a politician. By the way, for people who worked with him in the office, it's a totally different thing, because they are remembering their boss. They are remembering how they related and what that means now. So they are seemingly being a vacuum that needs to be dealt with. So we are all dealing with some spaces, which is all psychological. And that is very important for us also to ask ourselves, what am I mourning? The real meaning of this death is what to me? Because that's what helps me to be able to make the move and make the baby steps. Because for real, this is going to be baby steps that Kenyans are going to take every day, every year, for last years, maybe for some of us many years, but eventually we shall be able to process this grief.
All right. So from what I'm hearing from you, Ngatia, from a psychological point of view, is that we need to personalize or make it an individual effort. What are you mourning? What aspect, what gap has been left on an individual capacity?
True.
Now, we have seen massive gatherings, chants, songs, art, as you've seen Collins Omondi's, viral digital art there, even twigs on vehicles, all these signs of mourning. How do such, public rituals help people process pain? And I'll be coming to you, Collins, also to answer the same question. Using your art, to just process the pain, or rather to relay emotions. You'll take us through the art aspect. Ngatiti, from the psychological aspect, how does it help us, deal with the pain?
That is a very important observation there. And we can also talk of the cultural approach to mourning and grieving, because these are two, the dividing line is very thin.
Yes.
However, people will mourn according to also the basis of their culture. And that is very important. When someone chooses to dance, even around the casket, do twigs and, talk, chant things, that is okay, absolutely. That is their way of dealing with the shock and the denial and the entire loss, because entirely we are saying there is loss that has happened and this is permanent loss. So people can decide to just keep quiet, depending again on their personalities. That is now at individual level, but collectively grieving can be done by a community. Like the way we have seen, the Luo community have done it all. I would say we have seen it, and that need to be appreciated. That is a way of saying, I am mourning, I have lost, I feel hurt, I feel angered, I feel confused, I feel desperate. So whether they just do stuff around there, provided, of course, it's not intruding onto somebody else's rights. So if they do it and they have done it, that is absolutely in order.
So
that is cultural approach to
it does help?
grief. It helps a lot. And again, I would say it also depends on what people are familiar with, at their personal level again, how they react to that. Some people just keep quiet and they are actually so sad, they can't move, they get numb, and that's their way of responding. It's just a reaction. So we'll do it differently based, again, even on our environment, our cultural backgrounds, what we are familiar with. And when we narrow down at family level, individually, or that, even within the family, people will respond differently.
Will respond differently. Now, Collins, how do you see the role of art in helping people express and process grief, or other emotions? Collins.
Right. So from the comments under the post that I made of the first post of this artwork, so many people were expressing their love for the artwork and how they felt while looking at it, the colors, the mood. The sunset is the sunset gives a certain mood of permanence. So I mean, the day has ended, and so I feel it, the permanence of the loss.
How do you balance, and what is your view? We have seen many Kenyans using your work on posters, banners, and online. How does it feel to see your tribute become part of the national mourning identity as it is?
It's a humbling experience. I have done other works as well that have gone viral, but this one is, I think, the one that has gone the most viral.
Yeah.
And so it has really caught me by surprise. I didn't expect it. And so I'm just handling it as it comes. I mean, this person that we have lost, to me, I felt like, and just like other Kenyans, he was sort of immortal. And so his death is unimaginable. And therefore, and also the short period between the time of death and also the burial, I didn't have a lot to do. A lot has happened. I've gotten so many calls and texts and messages of support and just people saying thank you for doing this artwork. This is just my expression as an artist. It is what I felt at the moment. That's just it.
Now, in your perspective, you have received, accolades as well as criticism in equal share, in equal manner. But from here, from studio, personally, I think you've done a brilliant job. But then I'd want to know from where you sit, what would be your recommendations, from a society perspective, balancing the widespread sharing of art with respecting the artist's rights? What do you have to say?
Right. As an artist, and I believe I speak for most artists, when we do an artwork, when we conceptualize the art and come up with an idea, we own the rights to it. But also personally, for this particular artwork, it was just a personal tribute, and I was not intending for the commercialization of it. And so I think the criticism came from a comment I made. I put a watermark on the image, and so many people, there were some businesses that were cropping out the watermark and sharing, without the name. Personally, I have no problem with the commercialization of it because if it puts food on the table of a fellow citizen, I'm up for it. But I believe that if they attach maybe or acknowledge the artists or the creative was put out the concept, then it also helps the artists to sustain themselves economically, and everybody gains. Personally, I'm for respecting artists' works and rights, and so that was my personal appeal, that when people share, they acknowledge, especially for the creative work, they acknowledge the artist behind it or the creative behind it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Collins Omondi Okello, a pencil painting digital artist whose artworks have gone viral. I'm sure you have seen it and you'll continue seeing some of his works, especially on social media there. Thank you very much, Collins, for making time and sharing your heart and your art with you. Your portrait has become, has got a language of its own, speaking to millions in a way, many of them did not have ways or still did not have ways to express themselves. So thank you for aiding that. And also thank you for making time to appear and share your story here on Sunday Express.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, Madam Gatia, we have heard several people come out and use words like, I want to read it in, Raila was my superhero. The biggest part of me died on October 15th. Those are words from his daughter, Winnie Odinga, and we have Rosemary Odinga quoted saying, you are my evergreen source of wisdom. So what are the practical steps, that one can take to navigate grief in a healthy manner?
Yeah, first, I would like to acknowledge the words used by the daughters there. Yes, it's Leo, they have lost. And it's a big, big loss. It's important for one first to acknowledge at the same time that, yes, they have lost their father. That was a parent, that was a head of a family, even before coming out to the national level. Yes, it's good to keep memories. I still would like to suggest that and propose very strongly to keep memories of their father, the person they always knew as their protector. And to remember, even probably as I suggest the steps necessary, that when a family loses a father, the head of the family, it's not just that, it's much more, because they have shared a life together. Keeping the memories, trying to remember the things that he lived for, and his wish even for the family. It is good to fulfill what they can, because that you give a self-satisfaction feeling that after all, I have done it. Sometimes we suggest that they talk as a family. They need to be talking about the loss of their father, a husband, head of the family, and eventually a nationalist. So talking there, it's called talk therapy.
Talk therapy.
You just remember those moments that you had together. Some of them may not necessarily have been very present, but those two need to be remembered. It's also good to write down the things that one would have told their dad if only they knew and got that last opportunity to speak something to him. What would they have told him? That is called writing therapy. And it is equally very powerful, because once we get it out of our head, we put it on paper or we speak it out, we get lighter, we feel better, than like we are at least, you know, getting it to the person that was intended to have that information. It's also good to maybe keep things that they valued, keeping on probably referring to them, even referring that our dad used to sit there, you know, that is very important. But also remembering that he's never coming to sit there. They need to reallocate that space if they so wish, with the time, maybe not immediately, because this is a process that we are talking about. It is a journey that they have never traveled together. It's good to get support system.
It's good to get support system. We'll pick it up after this quick breather. Remember, tonight we still continue honoring the legacy of the late Honorable Raila Odinga, who was buried today. We take a quick breather, but when we come, we continue the conversation on how to process grief.